Paula Show is on. The Paula Show. Come on, one and all. I extend an invitation to the Paula Show. Join in the conversation. Transforming behavior, recognizing our Savior, overcoming hurdles, achieving dreams. Together we can succeed.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Paula Show. Tonight we present to you part 2 of my conversation with Dr. Dwayne Thwaites, an esteemed medical doctor from Antigua and Barbuda. This program about COVID-19 was pre-recorded. As you're aware, each day new information emerges about the pandemic. Thank you for watching the Paula Show. We will return following a commercial break. The Lancet Medical Journal indicates that seasonal flu kills 291,000, to 646,000 people worldwide each year.
Yearly.
And as you've said before, the regular flu each year can be deadly, and it's an equally horrible virus.
Absolutely.
People who are chronically sick and have compromised immune systems can succumb to COVID-19.
Absolutely correct. And the data coming out again, I keep going back to Wuhan, which is
Yes.
the data coming back out. Most of the people, there was the first set of disease entity was from about the middle of December to January 1st.
Yes.
There was like about 43 persons with the disease, and it was a high amount of men in that. And those men had multiple comorbidities, meaning they had other disease entities with them over the age of
Diabetes and all of
55,
that.
diabetes,
Hypertension,
cardiac disease, some who had cancer, who was on immunosuppressant, some people who were diabetic, who was on immunosuppressant. Oh, I forget to tell you, there is a Chinese herb out there that is really good now, which they're studying, the foresight something, which seems to be working very
Googling
well.
that.
Yeah, foresight eye or foresight something. It's good. But anyhow, it works well also as a treatment option for the people who are the herbalists here.
I heard garlic and ginger work.
That's
well.
what they say, but we don't know about that one. But I know the foresight something, it works very well.
It's working.
So you need to tell your friend that was in the program with you about that one. It's a herbal medicine. He might know about it.
Okay.
Anyhow, these guys, the elderly, the older
elderly,
people, and the people with comorbidities are the ones that are really affected more so by the disease because they are immunocompromised. Their response to the disease entity is not as vibrant as you, because you say you're never sick, right? So let me tell you.
I'm a country girl, you know.
Oh, you get cold milk.
Yes, until I was a teenager.
You used to eat the curd.
Yes.
You remember you used to take off that?
Yes,
pull that
yes.
And that strengthens you.
Yes, and my
you
grandfather used to say, he's making porridge,
Yes.
and you pour in some water, then you add whatever, and then you use the milk to thin it out. My grandfather used to cook the porridge in milk, and in order to thin it out, he would add more milk. So it's just milk on top of milk on top of milk. So broken bones and stuff like that, alien to me.
Absolutely
I'm
correct.
a strong girl.
You still got all your teeth.
Yes, that too. Nice eyes, I can see. So, but you know what? I'm not going to feel too comfortable, even though I'm in good health,
and that
because
is,
anything is possible.
That is so true. A lot of us tend to just think we're indispensable, and so you have to give God His glory, and
who? And my grandfather,
and your grandfather, and remember, he helped those who help themselves. So you need to protect yourself.
But
absolutely.
hear this, I remember Sunday at church, it was my birthday week. So here it is, we're greeting and shaking hands and touching. I decided, having heard all the information from the various commentators, I am not hugging and I'm not shaking hands. So I'm doing the foot bump. And I know that church people found me odd to some degree. But at the end of the day, if I become ill, then my husband becomes ill, and it has a a ricocheting
Effects
effect
for
on
the
your
whole family
finances
and the whole
yes,
thing.
everything. Your life is disrupted. So I'm trying my best, and even my little pet and my dogs, and they can be affected by this coronavirus, right? No?
Well, as they say, human to human transfer right now.
I'm just checking. I'm just
I
checking.
don't know if you can transfer them to your dog, right? But it's all right.
I'm just checking. French President Emmanuel Macron advised his citizens to limit their visits to retirement homes last week. And Italy's government has limited access to older people in nursing homes in an effort to keep from exposing them to infection.
And that is so true, again, when we look at the spread, the rate of spread, and the fact that it's going to a vital organ, that's where the host organ, it likes the lungs, that we need to protect these people from getting the disease. So these restrictions, these limitations, the hand washing, the etiquettes, it's the only how we're going to prevent the spread of the disease.
But some people don't even have water
I
to wash their hands.
Absolutely. So get some sanitizer or get bush. You know, them kind of bush. What the bush them just use and wipe your hand. You know, what the mint bush. Use them, they kill disease.
I don't know anything about
mint bush, and so you rub up your hand with them, man. Or even lime.
lemon.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
I mean, if you don't have water, you can actually use the lemon, the acetic acid.
What about homeless people? We have no control over these people. At least we can talk via the Paula show and the radio to persons who have their television and their radios and they're listening. But some homeless people, they're depressed. They're not even concerned about life.
You think they're immunocompromised. You never hear us hear the story about down by Dick Lake. Them boys don't get no disease. Them Dick Lake.
No, but this might be, this is a different kettle of fish.
Those Dick Lake guys they survive through
so
everything.
So it's alcohol? So we all should go and drink alcohol?
I never said it to you like that.
I'm just checking. I'm just checking because if that's the case.
No, but they never get any disease. They don't get no illness. They always survive. Through the storms, through the bad weathers, everything, they know where to go.
They will not be using any sanitizer and washing hands and all of that. They're knocked out cold.
We just hope that they don't get the disease, because when they get the disease, then it's easier to spread.
But we therefore must reach out to them because they're part of the vulnerable population.
I think that basically what needs to be done is for the community and everybody to go. We need to start putting hand sanitizers all over the place. Even at the school, when the kids go in or enter into school, they should be sanitized. And again, it's a good place to teach the ethics also, which is so important, and the way how to cough, and the way how not to cough, and the way how to sneeze, and what to do. I think that right now they're doing it at the airport. As you enter, you do the hand sanitizing. As the baggage handlers should be wearing gloves.
Sanitary workers, because when we cough in those napkins and we dispose of them, they're the ones who will have to interact with the
Absolutely.
waste.
The entrance to the offices, to the
Yes.
supermarket, every one of these places, we should just have these sanitizers out, and so that we can start, we need to make a positive move in trying to prevent the spread.
Buenas noches. No cabe dudas de que el mundo se está enfrentando a una pandemia para la cual ningún país está preparado. Son tiempos de solidaridad, tiempos de hermandad, tiempos de ayuda. Por eso, Cuba, como es habitual, está ayudando con los limitados recursos que tiene a otros países. Tuvimos la solicitud recientemente del gobierno de Antigua y Barbuda para que enviásemos un grupo de enfermeras, enfermeros y médicos para ayudar en la lucha contra este terrible virus. Próximamente debe llegar a Antigua y Barbuda un equipo, una brigada médica cubana, como le llamamos, integrada por 30 expertos cubanos. El objetivo es cooperar, integrarse, a los 59 cooperantes cubanos que ya están en este país desde hace muchos años y dar la batalla al coronavirus. Esto lo harán con los hermanos antiguanos y otros de diversos países que trabajan en el sistema de salud de Antigua y Barbuda. Ya Cuba, desde hace 20 años, está presente en este país ayudando al pueblo de las dos islas gemelas. Nos sentimos orgullosos de poder poner en práctica lo que nos enseñó nuestro líder y lo que nos enseñó la revolución, que es ser internacionalista y cooperar con aquellos que los necesiten. Recientemente salieron de Cuba brigadas para ayudar a Nicaragua, Venezuela, Surinam, Granada, Barbados. Y muy pronto, como les dije, llegará la brigada para Antigua y Barbuda y también vendrá otra brigada para San Vicente y las Granadinas. Tenemos un gran compromiso de trabajar junto con los hermanos caribeños y con otros que así lo soliciten para erradicar el coronavirus, como hicimos en África con el ébola. No me queda más que pedirles que se protejan, que se cuiden, que tengan en cuenta las recomendaciones que están dando las autoridades sanitarias guiadas por la Organización Panamericana de la Salud y la Organización Mundial de la Salud. Protéjase usted, que es la manera que hay de proteger también a su familia y a los trabajadores de la salud que están en primera línea de este combate. Al llegar a la casa, lávese las manos durante 20 segundos. Tiene que hacerse un lavado profundo, a conciencia, y evitar tocar superficies que antes fueron tocadas por otras personas. Comprar los materiales que se indican para mantener la higiene y para evitar la contaminación por el virus. Esta batalla se gana con responsabilidad, con aislamiento social, distanciamiento social y con la observancia de todas las medidas que están siendo indicadas. Le decíamos a nuestro personal y al gobierno que Cuba ayudará con su experiencia, con su bondad, pero también hay que ayudarla protegiéndose a ustedes, porque en la medida en que los trabajadores de la salud estén sanos, protegidos, podrán protegerlos a ustedes también. Cuenten con la ayuda solidaria de Cuba y también de otros países, porque el mundo, todas aquellas personas de buena voluntad se están incorporando a esta batalla contra la pandemia del coronavirus. Muchas gracias.
I present to you the English version of a message that was delivered by the Cuban ambassador to Antigua and Barbuda. The world is living in crucial times. We are experiencing a pandemic. And that's why this is a moment of solidarity to help each other and cooperate. As usual, Cuba is helping other countries. Upon a request from the government of Antigua and Barbuda, we are sending on Thursday, 26th March, a medical brigade of 30 nurses and medical doctors to help Cubans that are here working to face the virus, as well as to help the people of Antigua and Barbuda. We also, over the last few days, sent medical brigades to Suriname, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Barbados, Italy, Grenada, and very soon we will dispatch a brigade to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In this moment, I can give you some advice of how to behave in the circumstances. Please wash your hands for about 20 seconds and also do not touch surfaces that other persons could have been using. Please practice social distancing because you have to protect yourself in order to help protect the medical personnel, because they need to be healthy to provide good service in the island. Once we have it under control, we don't forget about these courtesies.
Absolutely.
Because it's important
be
for us. Yes, because they'll be, well, the viruses may be even worse than this one.
Absolutely correct, you know. We had, I mean, I think that the effects of things like Ebola and all these
Yes.
things are a lot worse than what we're looking at with the coronavirus.
Yes.
Again, what we're looking at is the easy spread of the disease. Which
But
is
Ebola was mostly affecting African nations. This coronavirus, this COVID-19, Cayman Islands just reported their first case. St. Vincent, one thus far. Trinidad, one thus far.
Guyana had one. Again, you look at the symptoms that are there. It's very general, so it's very
So the
easy
common cold.
So it's very easy for us to say this person has the disease when they
He's
really
coughing,
don't.
she's
And
sneezing.
she's sneezing, and you go, oh, you know, someone. And then again, we still have the tourist ships coming in.
Yes.
It's very easy to come in contact with someone who,
Yes.
you know, who might have had the
Imported.
disease. Again, we just need to abide
And
by the
people
few.
travel,
We
and
travel
people
a lot.
return
And they
home.
return home. And in some cases, I've had one client of mine who called me who was in Europe during all of this and was on their way back home. They have no symptoms, but was concerned
Just
as
to be-
how
yeah.
should she get back home and what should she do when she gets to Antigua, and that was very important to her, so she doesn't bring back anything. I mean, it turns out that everything is fine, but again, the approach, again, flying on even on Liat or Caribbean Airways had 14 of the workers was placed on quarantine because that person came back home with the COVID-19. Again, caution, be careful.
Have you worked with viruses in the past?
Oh, absolutely. I started, when I started my training, it was the entrance of HIV disease. And, you know, it was one of the times where we were learning more and more about the disease. We even had the HIV sanatorium, an area where everybody who had HIV disease had to go. We started to learn how to double glove, use these gloves, do this, try and prevent these, the different things, and you just move through it. And you know, again, different disease entity, you had to be exposed or in contact with the body fluid in order for you to get the HIV disease. So once you respect the principles of the disease entity and you do what you're supposed to do, then you should be okay. And I remember working my way right through that to now, where now HIV disease is just...
Yeah, some people are saying I prefer to have HIV than cancer. Imagine that.
Because they live longer now,
Yes,
and
yes.
we have the same Denavir, Adenavir,
All the Virs.
Retinavir, all the Virs that I mentioned to you, which
Yes.
is now coming into vogue again because we're now looking
Probably
at
assisting with
maybe they're going to
COVID-19.
help us with the COVID-19. So we just have to wait. I think that they think we should have an answer to these medication, whether or not they're going to help us with the COVID-19 by the end of April into May. So we're praying and we're hopeful they
And
are
the sun
doing.
will be shining at its
and-
fullest force
and
at
what-
about that time.
And you know it's going
into
to be
the summer.
You know it's going to be expensive, right? to
Well,
get
that's
some
the
of
other
them.
thing, because they're saying that at some, even though there are medication to address this issue, they might cost thousands
Yeah,
of dollars.
it's more. It's
Cost
going to peak.
thousands of US dollars.
Yeah, it's going to peak. And I mean, remember now, back in the day when AZT, what it was, Zidane was coming out, that it was only the basketball player could afford it back then. He's still alive now. Magic Johnson.
I don't even know about that. I love Magic dearly,
No.
but I'm not sure.
That
I'm not sure if it's a marketing strategy or if it's real.
It was very expensive then. I remember working with patients who...
But I'm saying I
and-
don't know if he really has HIV or if it's just a marketing strategy. I
you're
don't
just,
know.
as they say, love is blind. You're just blinded by love.
Thank you for staying with us on the Paula Show. We're taking a commercial break. We'll be right back with Dr. Dwayne Thwaites.
I got you.
Dr. Thwaites, the WHO Director General, Mr. Tedros, some persons are calling for his resignation. They have accused him of waiting too long to declare the COVID-19 a pandemic. They're of the view that it should have been done earlier because so many people are affected.
So they wanted to call it a pandemic when it was an epidemic? That's kind of a strange situation. When we look at the, again, and what most people before they start making acquisitions is look at the data out there. The first disease was picked up in maybe November, they're thinking. That's when the first person was affected. And so between December to January, it was about 42 or 43 people who picked up in Wunan district.
Yes.
And then later on, by the middle to January, one person was picked up in California. We're now in March. Give me a break. When we look at what's going on, and then when we look at the map of the disease itself, you notice that it's only one section, one caption part of the world that we started seeing most of the disease.
Italy.
It is just now getting out.
Spain has some cases too.
Spain has some cases. I mean, we're looking at a cross section. Very few in the, if any,
Europe,
in the
Europe,
Caribbean.
and
Very
out to
few
the
in
North
Africa.
America.
And these are places
Which
where.
is why I keep saying to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, I know
it's
what you're
about the
saying.
melanin.
It's about the melanin. Let's keep it real. We have enough to worry about with the melanin, you know,
Yeah.
diabetes, hypertension,
Yeah,
prostate
we can't
cancer,
take anything else.
Ebola.
Yeah.
Again, when we look at it, and we look at the spread of the disease entities, only recently that it's gone out of, and maybe it was, or we didn't know, but you have to use what you have, the data you have, the experience you have to determine whether or not it's a pandemic. It looks like it's getting there, and it is getting worldwide. Fortunately for us, we don't see this part as many. People are now coming this way and bringing the disease this way, Africa. And these are places where we have really bad economic situations where we can't afford to put everybody on a respirator or all of these. So in some essence, God is good. And,
We've been
you know,
saved by grace.
by grace, and absolutely correct. We probably would have seen more deaths then. Now,
100,000 persons.
but now that it's a pandemic, what the people need to be is grateful that it's declared a pandemic at this stage, so that we can control it from spreading any further or anywhere else.
Because when we hear about a pandemic, we become more cautious.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so again, we look at the curve. What we need to do is isolate, quarantine, clean, and be ethical. That's all we need, and let's see if we can control it. They claim that if we follow these rules, we will decrease the amount of spread by about 50% within 1 month.
Yes.
And that's what the U.S. is doing. We're containing. This is what Italy did.
Yeah.
We're containing, and we look at the data and look at
That's
Wunan
what they
district.
did in Wunan district.
With
too.
Wunan districts, and we can learn from them a lot. We're getting more, it's decreasing, the curve is coming down.
Their
We're
curve is
standardizing,
decreasing,
standardizing everything. And we will be in a better stead, hopefully. We might see you at Panorama. You never know.
What's up with you and this panorama? There was a time when I managed Cable and Wireless Hell's Gate Steel Orchestra, and each time they would have won the competition, they would call me, Devinson would call me, 1, 2, whatever time in the morning. We won, we won. The night I don't hear from them, I know.
They lose. Been there too.
But I've been away from that scene for almost 8 years now, so nobody's calling me anymore. Epidemiologists agree that an effective and safe vaccine is probably a year or more away. And they said that the present treatment for COVID-19 patients consists of providing fluids, giving them medicine to alleviate the fever, and supplying supplemental oxygen in severe cases.
Absolutely
What's
correct.
supplemental oxygen?
Just give you the direct oxygen. Again, ventilator, or even the nasal cannula. Again, once it affects the lungs, you have breathing difficulties. So the oxygen we can give you, and once you get oxygen and you don't have to put so much stress on the lung tissue, then you probably will be able to recover. And these are for the people who are critically ill.
Yes.
So the basic principle is absolutely correct. that you know, fluids, oxygen,
Alleviate the fever.
yeah, temperature control. So you treat the symptoms. Now, if you remember, whenever you get a flu, the doctor really doesn't have any medication to treat the flu.
Antibiotics.
And so, well, antibiotics is for bacterial. That's why you say antibiotics.
Right,
But
that's
there's
what they
antiviral.
give us for the flu now?
They give you for some type of flu, and some of it is different.
Okay.
The viral flu, you have to give antiviral, which we really don't do. So what we do treat, and it's a common cold, we treat the symptoms. So they give you, if you have a headache, if you have fever, you get the Tylenol.
Why they give
For
me
the
amoxicillin? Or what?
Amoxicillin. And that's for an
Amoxicillin?
infection. Amoxicillin, that's for an infection. It's a bacterial infection. Antibiotics, antibacteria. It's going against the bacteria. So that's why it's called antibiotics. So if it's a bacterial infection, yeah. Most flu are viral in nature. And
So what do you give us for that?
we don't really have anything for the viral flus. And then that's absolutely correct. So we treat the symptoms, the sniffling, give you something to stop you from sniffling, the runny
Nasal
nose,
spray.
nasal spray. We give you all that. We give you for the temperature, we give you some Tylenol. We give you something for the cough. We give you something to get rid of the muscle ache, some
But really and truly, you're not
water
giving me anything to
get
get rid of the actual virus.
So don't fool yourself. So again,
But I have been fooled for years.
for years, and that is so true. We treat the symptoms. Terraflu. Terraflu is just a body. They have no antibiotics in the Terraflu. You don't have no, you don't have no antiviral in the Terraflu. You just take medication that's going to treat your sniffles, your cough, all of those stuff. So again, we have the misconception that we have treatment for all of these viral illnesses when we really don't have
You know what
any
I do?
treatment.
I just
go
rub from
beach
head to toe.
with Alcalado or
Not Alcalado, Buckley's White Rub. And then I dress in some like sweatpants, sweat top.
and you sweat it out.
And
That's
I
one
just
way.
go beneath my quilt. And by the morning, I'm wet, I'm dripping, and fever's gone, and I feel better. And that's
Absolutely.
what my children do when they're feeling poorly. And it works for them.
It gets rid of the symptoms, whatever.
But I still
was
have the
ailing.
virus in my body.
We still do. Most of the
But
times we
wait.
don't get rid of the virus.
Period. So it
Absolutely
lurks around in my body until another season, and then I go through the same.
It's already what we called killed or rested. If you're going to catch anything, now, once you get a body response to the virus, you will develop antibodies
Yes.
to these things. So if you get another attack, the body we have what we call inside our body memory cells.
Yes.
And so they remember that disease, and so they
Yeah,
come, once that hits your
attack
body,
it.
they attack it. This is why the influenza virus changes every year. So whatever antibody you have inside, you have to develop a new antibody against these
So my
viruses.
antibodies have to be on fleek every year. They have
Absolutely,
to.
but if something of the similar nature comes into your body,
Right.
your body will attack it. Those memory cells don't forget anything. They're like your brains, and sometimes they remember
Everything is-
Yeah.
There are times when I don't want my brain to remember certain
I
things,
know
you know.
that.
You
I
too?
know, I know. What?
South Korea and China have demonstrated that the virus's outbreak can be suppressed, and the WHO is commending South Korea and China for the work that they've been doing to suppress the virus. I've noticed now in the US, the sports and everything else that requires a large gathering, they have suspended games, and people are asked not to gather together, which
When-
means that some of those mega churches,
Yeah, under the big tent. Cut
Wow.
them down. So, and in all essence, the data coming out of Wuhan is so important because they have set up such a good system for what has been going on. And as I mentioned, they have like 4 different things that they have suggested.
Right.
And their CDC and the World Health Organization has been working to see how and what is necessary to help contain the disease. And actually, they have been able to control the spread of the disease in these areas. and it's getting better. It's not, they're not exactly out of the woods, but as I said, they're hoping that
At
by
least
the
it's
end of
working for
April,
them.
it will be on the downcline and go down. This is in the Wunan and the Koreans, so they've taken the bull by the horn and they've done a lot of stuff. I see, yes, U.S. is now trying to do some things, and let's hope
the
it
U.S.
works.
is very high in social distancing now.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, there are some people in the Senate
Oh
who
boy.
are on lockdown, and they have those persons who are in close contact with the president at Mar-a-Lago,
Yes, the
on
people, the
aircraft
Brazilian,
and otherwise.
the Brazilian couple who were at Mar-a-Lago the other day in contact with Trump, they tested positive. So let's see what happens.
Let's
and
see what happens.
That
Thank
is
you
a
for
look at, look at your actor and his wife.
Tom Hanks,
Tom Hanks.
and his wife.
And they were decent enough to go public, and
Yeah.
but they're in
Australia.
so they probably might have picked it up over there. Who knows? Or they flew down with it. We don't know.
We don't know.
But always remember, it's the majority of people with the coronavirus have the mild form of it. It's about 70%. It's only about 15% of the people who have the very serious aspect of the disease, and maybe about 5% will die from the disease entity. So
There's hope.
there is hope. It's not the worst thing ever. We still have a lot of disease that has
The
been
smallpox
worse than
was
that.
worse.
The plague,
The
the
plague.
typhoid,
Yeah.
typhoid Mary. I mean, we have a lot of things that we should
These
be grateful
bodies
for.
are built to sustain and maintain.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, we will go through this too. And there are others to come, so we can't even kill ourselves about this one, because we have to remain strengthened for whatever
should keep
else is to
moving.
come. Keep moving. What are some of the pandemic plans that governments should institute to ensure the safety of the population?
And I think that the Antiguan government have been putting everything in place for the pandemic, for the arrival of COVID-19. As I say again, we notice a decrease in the tourists, the people who are traveling.
Yes.
They should put in place, like what the U.S. is doing, ban people from arriving. I think there were a
Everybody
few,
from Europe?
not everybody, again, there were a few Italians you might not have known that came into Antigua who were hustled back out again
Okay.
because of the
Suspicion?
because of suspicion. So in a pandemic like this situation, you have to limit access to your country, especially if we are free. They're setting up the Halberton, the Mogson's ward.
Right.
It's been set up for the
To
isolation
quarantine, yeah.
and the quarantine area. We have established multiple ventilators have come in to be in that place just in case we
Just in case.
have anything. The laminar flow within the isolation area has been prepped and set up so that the most of the air flows outwards,
Okay.
and so that you don't get the transmission of the disease.
People
Well,
can be
look-
reinfected.
There have been 1 or 2 cases reported where there have been reinfection. Again, don't have proper documentation of that, but I've read that has occurred. There was 1 or 2 persons where who went out without the disease and then came back in with the disease, I've heard, in the Wunan area. So again, trying to assimilate all that, having the test kits available
Yes.
in your island itself instead of having to send out to Trinidad is some of the
Trinidad, yeah.
things that we're looking at. I think the World Health Organization
They've
has
made
sent in a few
available $15 billion.
money has been set in place for all of
Yes.
this, and they're
So
doing a lot
something
of
is
things.
happening.
They had multiple meetings. I don't know. There was a meeting in Barbados where our health representatives have been there
Yes.
to look into these situations. The nurses and doctors are being trained in how to handle.
Hazmat suits and all of that.
Yeah, well, we have most of the things in place,
Yeah.
the mask and everything. One thing we didn't touch was that who should wear the mask. because the people who have the disease should wear the mask so that they contain the
Contain it,
disease.
yes.
The ones who don't have the disease and no symptoms, there's no necessity
And I
to
ordered masks,
and there's no necessity for you to have
so I
the
wasted
mask.
money.
You wasted money. What the only good thing for a person who doesn't have the disease to have the mask on is so that you don't touch your face with your hands. But otherwise than that, there is
Or
no.
if I'm caring for someone.
If you're going into an area where you're caring for
Right.
someone, you
Okay.
should put on
Yes.
put
Because
on the
in
mask.
some instances, not in Antigua but abroad, it has been reported that some family members prefer to keep their sick ones at home for fear that if they are in an institution, then the likelihood increases for that person to
contract the disease
the
again.
coronavirus. Okay. Saving lives. It seems as if early detection is key in all of this.
It works for everything.
For all viruses, all diseases.
For all diseases.
Cancer, everything.
It seems it seems like it's the way for go. That's why we call it preventative medicine.
Yes.
We try to prevent you from getting diabetes and high blood pressure.
Well, I'm working on that. I'm walking and running at the stadium,
Absolutely.
and even if I'm alone, I'm doing it alone.
And that's the way how you protect yourself and how you build your immune system.
Yes.
Your vitamins, your fresh fruits and vegetables.
Somebody told me
your
about elderberry, so I bought some.
So you bought some. Your three.
I notice you're not committing to my elderberry.
I don't know if it works, but most importantly, I think that not only elderberry, but all the fruits and vegetables and that we have out there should boost your immune system. So not just only the elderberry, but you should try and
A combination of all the
fresh fruits,
and
vegetables, you know, well-balanced meal. That these things.
And for
build your
those people who like fast food and the Chinese rice and greasy chicken and all of that.
Wunan is Chinese.
Yes, they need to eat healthy meals. Fruits and vegetables are important.
A well-balanced meal.
A well-balanced meal. And I'm not hitting the Chinese because I don't like them or anything. It's just that
I would hope not.
No, I love everyone. It's just that I find it a little bit odd that the very food they sell to people, they're not consuming it. So they're selling the greasy chicken and the greasy rice and all of that.
How you know they don't consume it?
I see them eating white rice and vegetables.
What about the other stuff?
What? Communicate with the public at every stage, of the conversation.
You communicate very well. I like that.
At every stage.
You only give some information. You don't give all the information. But yes, we should. I think programs like this, where you can get the information out to the public, which is what we try to do. I do it for prostate cancer. We do it for diabetes. We do it for high blood pressure. So we should do this, and this more so for the coronavirus than anything else. You should be an advocate. You should be out there pushing for hand sanitizer. You should be out in the schools talking to the students about, this is how we're going to get information out.
Okay.
We need to be proactive. The people of the country.
So I should try and get a job with the Ministry of Health?
Well, you could do whatever you would like to do, but you should be the person out there. We need to do a lot, as I keep saying, more hand sanitizer.
I don't mind being the ambassador for health because, you know, I would do an excellent job. But that's a conversation that I'll have to have with the Minister of Health.
I think that the information, the programs, the different programs, we need to start pushing more and more. Let's be more aware, a little bit more heightened, less, you know, we got to look out for each other.
Be transparent, be open, be truthful.
And yes, absolutely. Those are the things that are going to be important for us to get over this hump, you know, this disease. It takes the group, the unit, to put everybody in place and to make sure the buses hand sanitize on the bus. Any sniffles, make sure the people obey the ethics of all of that. I think this is the way we're going to get out. We need to to get everybody involved, from into the churches, the schools, the Sunday schools. We need to start looking at them.
Wherever, preschool, wherever.
At
But the
doing
thing
that.
is, I imagine that part of the mitigation activity is that of a crisis plan, crisis management plan. It therefore means that going forward, should we have a recurrence of a virus affecting us, whether epidemic or pandemic, we can build on that plan. We can tweak that crisis plan. So at least we're halfway there.
No, and
for
that
any
is so
eventualities.
true. You see, one of the things is that I think the government has put over $1 million in the in the quarantine area up at the hospital, and we're not only going to use it for now, but we can use it
for
in
the future.
In the future. And so it's important that we adhere to these principles, the principles that you are talking about, where we can build on these, where we can do other things with whatever we have in place. Even if we now form a group, not for just coronavirus, but for
a crisis management team.
Yeah, for later
so that
days.
we're not like henny penny, the sky is falling.
Yeah.
We know that these persons are there and they will guide
we can move
the
forward from there.
conversation.
Absolutely
My
correct.
last question to you: how do we prepare our immune system not only for this virus, but
for
whatever is to
illnesses
come?
or for everything.
It's inevitable that this is the last one.
No,
We'll see more in our lifetime.
Oh, absolutely
How do we
correct.
prepare our immune
We've seen
system?
so many in the last
Yes.
couple of lifetimes.
Yes, we
we've
ate
seen-
the potato from the swollen jaws for
and then
months.
we saw from TB all the way up.
Yeah.
This generation now,
Yeah.
we've seen a lot of disease. Again, which is why I mentioned it. You talk about the exercises,
Yes.
the running, stuff. And if your body is strong, if your heart is strong, if your muscles are strong, then you are halfway there.
Yes.
You have a good mental mindset, a little laughter, some happiness within your life. Because stress decreases your immune system, so you have to be happy, you have to be loving life in
Enjoy
order for,
life.
and that's the first step towards building your immune system.
Enjoying
and
life.
then enjoying life, yes, doing the things that makes you happy. If you're depressed, trust me, depression can even give you cancer.
Oh,
It is
no.
so bad. Depression is so horrible. It can take your life, And so first part is to get over that. And then the second part is your exercise.
Supplements.
And then we go into your diet. And then we go into your supplements, your vitamins and all the stuff. No Chinese food for you.
No,
none
never.
of them
I haven't.
greasy foods. But I mean, just the basic things that we have learned growing up, your
Reduce the sugar and the flour.
and the flour, so those basic things help build a strong personality, builds a strong person, builds your immune system.
Yes.
Trust me, if you're not happy, you don't have a good immune system.
Ooh.
You should really be. I mean, and as I tell people when you come into the office, your mindset makes a big difference in how you're going to get over a disease entity. If you come in there thinking all negative things,
I'm going to
you will
die.
never get where you want to go, and then the medicine won't work for you.
Yeah.
It really doesn't do anything for you because you are
You're
really
unsettled.
and makes it worse for you. So to build a good immune system, you have to start with basic principles of happiness, good nutrition, exercise, well-balanced diet, vitamins,
And don't
energy.
forget a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Absolutely correct too.
Yes.
That will
That is
really
important.
help build your good foundation for
Keep
you.
hope alive.
Absolutely. You
Well-
sound like who does they keep hope alive?
Me?
Yeah, right.
Listen, it's always a pleasure having you at the Paula Show. And at the end of our programs, we usually shake hands. But no
Oh,
shake
boy.
hands tonight.
I'll go
No,
bang foot,
let's
me
bump. Let's foot bump. Thank you for watching the Paula Show.
I like
It's
this one.
Foot bumping.
This is awesome. Okay.
show is on. The water show. Come on, one and all. I extend an invitation to the water show. Join in the conversation. Transforming behavior, recognizing our Savior, overcoming hurdles, achieving dreams. Together